evening and welcome to Stitching with Cindy Botts. I had a lot of interest in my ragdoll tutorial, so I decided to do another, but this time my ragdolls are finished at 10 to 10 and a half inches. So these are little mini ones and they are adorable. So let's walk ourselves through it. This one has some nice long skinny legs, wearing a pair of pants and a cute little Halloween shirt, but no hair. This one I made first, and I did put hair on her and I gave her a dress. I do not care for her legs, so this was my first prototype and I made her legs just a little bit too big. So in the next one I made them a little bit longer and skinnier, so the width of the legs are actually the width of the arms, and I think it came out a lot nicer. I also in this one did not do that elbow and knee seam. Sometimes I like it and sometimes I think I don't think I like it, so that's your choice when you do your doll. So in my last tutorial I talked about how I really didn't like the idea of yarn hair. I didn't think it would wash very well, so this is my solution. This is my version of the yarn hair right here, and what I did was I took an 1.5 inch strip of material, I pressed it at the halfway point and then opened it up and folded in the edges again so that it actually is quarter the width, and then I sewed it down. All right, so this is my hair piece here, right here. This is the hair piece. All right, and I just tucked over this edge, tucked over the edge so the raw edge was down, and then I started making these loops, and you can see I sewed like a part. So I brought it up, sewed the one down. This is done with hand stitching after I stuffed the head. Made a loop and sewed it down, made a loop, sewed it down to do the bangs, and then the side hair, and then around the back. I think next time I'd put a few more loops in there and I might overlap them a little bit better. But for a first try, I think it came out cute. I also think I might want to consider like another layer underneath, but I'm not sure. But I think for a first try, something different with the hair. Now, some people would like to put a face on. I am not good with putting on faces. You could put buttons on, embroidery, however you want for the face. All right, so let's talk about constructing this little 10-inch doll. Let's put them aside. So what I did is I took a piece of flannel. Their bodies this time are made from flannel. Makes them nice and soft and cuddly. And for the head, I traced this circle from the cup at the top. This is a 3-inch circle. Then I went ahead and used my ruler and extended out to the 3-inch. I went to the middle of the circle, 1.5 inches out and 1.5 inches out, extended that down to make the body. The body I made 4 inches. So it's a 3 by 4 inch rectangle for the body, and then I just angled off the shoulders. All right, so let's show you the piece that I made as a pattern. All right, so we have our 3-inch circle, our 3 by 4 inch rectangle for the body. I put the slash marks at about a quarter to a half an inch up for the side shoulders, those little diagonals, and that's how I did the body. I just sewed that up, sewed on those lines, and then I stuffed it. Now the shape is kind of awkward, but as you manipulate the stuffing, it comes to where you want it, and as you put the hair on and the clothes, it comes together. Now for the arms, I did a 2-inch wide piece. I cut it at 4.5, and I made this little circle-y type half circle at the bottom for the hands. All right, so I just sewed that And then using the pinking shears on the head and the hands really makes it easier to turn. So I turned that right side out, and then I stuffed it and I folded in those raw edges. Now I take that and I just kind of squish down some of the shoulder seam here and attach the arm right there like so. All right, just kind of squish this flat so you get something nice to sew on, and you can either hand stitch or squeeze it under the machine. Okay, and that's how you attach the arms. Then for the legs, I did the 2 inches wide by 6 inches long, and again I figured about a 1/2 inch for this curve for the feet. Now with the top, with the body, you want to fold under 1/4 to a 1/2 inch and sew that down. Okay, but you don't want to sew it down. I mean, you can sew that down, and then you want to take and stuff your legs after you turn them, and you can tuck that under inside and sew it on top, or you can leave it open, leave this open, and just tuck the legs right inside and then sew it down. That really is your preference. This is a little cleaner look, but either way works fine. All right, so you just want to make sure that the raw edges are tucked in or under so they're not showing, and that's how you construct the doll. Now for the clothing, I just used a rectangle base here, or a square base. All right, the body we know is 3 inches, so if we cut this at 4 inches, we'll have enough room for the seam allowances. Unfortunately, 4 inches is a little bit too much, so go down to 3.5. All right, or cut it at 4 and make your seam allowances more than the 1/4 inch. All right, now you know that your arms are 2 inches, so you want to make sure that your sleeve is cut at 2 inches. The arm was cut at 2 inches, and then the seam allowance, so this cut at 2 inches, and then the seam allowance should be good. If you want it a little bit looser, just do this at 2.5 inches. Gives it a little more room. Mine are kind of tight here. You might want yours a little bit, mine are kind of tight here, and you might want yours a little looser. Definitely when I go to do the pants next time, I will make them bigger. They were super tight to get on. All right, but while we're talking about the shirt, you're just going to want to tuck up that raw edge and fold it over for the bottom. For the sleeves, you're going to want to use a piece of material, sew it right sides together here, and then fold it under, again using your pinking shears to allow you to fold that over. All right, so then you fold it over and do your top stitching. All right, so you have 2 pieces, right sides together, do a stitching, trim it, press it, fold it over, and do your top stitching. You can see the hem on the sleeve here. All right, and you can see what I was saying, how tight it is there. Again, the pants are a little bit too tight. I again cut them at, I believe, 4 or 4.5 inches. I think it was 4.5, but made it too tight when I cut this part. All right, so I would cut this at 5 or 5.5 next time wide. Then cut the center, little cut up a couple inches, depending on whether you're making shorts or pants. I believe I went up 3 inches, and I cut out just a 1/4 inch of the middle. All right, did the hems on the sides, did the side seams, did a hem at the top. Now when I put her in, this gapped a lot, so all I did was go ahead and just make a stitch, like a little dart here. Just folded it over. You can see how I folded it over, and just ran a seam down here to gather up some of that waistband. It was just way too loose, and I did that in the back and the front. And the difference is the seam allowance here. All right, because you cut this out and you want it to be maybe 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch of groin area here. And when you did that, that made these legs, when I did that, made the legs tight with a gappy waist. Okay, so that's one thing that I would adjust for the next time. And I have my cute little cat shirt here, and I think they look cute. Now I did the same shirt for her, but then I just took a strip of 4-inch wide material, and before I did the side seams on the shirt, I just gathered that in. I believe I doubled the width. I think it was more. It was 9 inches, I believe, for the strip for the front, and 9 inches for the strip for the back. And just be careful with your gathering that you don't get all your gathers, on one side. You kind of spread them apart. All right, so there you go. These are my two cute new 10-inch dowels. The other thing I wanted to show you was what I actually stuffed them with. So this is a great project to use up scraps of flannel for the bodies, and leftover material, either from quilts or whatever projects you've been doing, things that are in your stash, little pieces, because they're not very big, that you're using to make the clothes. And then I used batting for the stuffing. Now, to use the batting, I just cut it into these little pieces. They're not all identical. They are just cut into little squares. Some are triangles, just so that I had some batting for in the middle. I can see I just stuffed it in there. All right, so great project to use up some of those things that are just waiting to be used, that you use for other projects. I hope you have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.